Good afternoon, guys. Getting set up here, get you a couple more calculations down. I'm moving around here just to grab you a couple things, show and tell wise. Talking about film finally. Got here Agfa D7 film in the orange box, and got here Fuji 80 film in the cardboard colored box, just plain cardboard. Just two different types of film. Not that these films really act any differently, you're still going to get a kind of the same image, but they're just different name brands. Okay, so kind of think of that. And then if you've ever seen x-ray film before from being in the doctor, you know that you're just looking at different densities on a piece of film. Okay, this is just photographic film here. See, you've got these different densities. If you're looking at this, it might look similar to a picture you've seen in your radiation safety book or your RT book so far. This is just an x-ray of the gamma ray camera that we have here at the school. As you can see, there's the S-tube on the inside, and these densities over here are kind of light, meaning we didn't get enough radiation through them to get them dark. But if you can see right here above my finger, that's the key that locks that camera in. So, kind of something to get your brain working there. What we're going to do here are the logarithmic calculations that get us from one film to another. So you can see here we've got one film that's D8, and we're going to move to another film that's D4. Okay, before you actually get started on this, you're going to need the chart offline. It'd be best to print it out that looks like this. So since symmetric curves on it, that's just a logarithmic curve or logarithmic chart to show us different speeds of film here. Okay, we've got D2 over here all the way to D8 over here. Alright? And all that's going to tell us is this. If we were looking at this, we would have D2 over here for a slow film, meaning it takes a long time to get that exposure there, and D8 over here, which means it doesn't take very long and it's just kind of a quick shot, really easy. You get your exposure really quick, but it's not as clean as this guy over here. So, going to be kind of rough to do this, but I'm going to show you how to work this here. We're going to look at density 1.5 on D8. Our exposure time is 14 milliamp minutes, and we're going to move to a density of 3.0 on D4. Okay? So, I'm going to write the numbers here, then I'll show you how I got the numbers on the chart. If you have a density of 1.5 on D8, you're going to be looking at right about a 2.0. Now, these numbers aren't going to mean anything, and the numbers might be a little different from what I get to what you get. So, keep that in mind as well. 3.0 on D4. We're looking at about a 2.85. Okay? Again, I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to show you where I got the numbers, so this will make more sense. 14 milliamp minutes. We're going to take the smaller number and subtract it from the bigger number, always. Okay? So it leaves us with 0.85. Probably drop this. So, 2.85. That gives us that. We're going to do the inverse log. Okay? We need the inverse log. Because what this is a logarithmic function of the speed of this film. Okay? So, inverse log. There's a log button on your calculator. We're going to do shift log. And that's going to tell us that this inverse log of that is 7.07. Okay? Let me just make sure that's right. And that's what it's telling me. So 7.07. Good number. Okay? 14 milliamp minutes, that's the exposure we started with, meaning if we were at a D4 and we're going to a D8, we would be going to a faster film, so this number would need to get smaller. But since we're going from a D8 to a D4, that means D4 is here in the center somewhere. That exposure is going to have to get longer because we're going to a slower film. Okay? So I'm making a couple notes here. To tell us, alright, if we're here, if we're going from a D8 to a D4 or D8 to D2, something like that, going from fast to slow film, we're going to multiply. Going from a slow to fast film, we're going to divide. Okay? Same kind of thing here. If we're going from a 1.5 density up, doesn't matter what film, we're going to multiply. If we're going from a 2.0 density down, whatever, we're going to divide. Okay? Always going to start with this number, just to make it easier. So we're going to say 14 times 7.07. That brings us out to something about like 99.1. That's going to be milliamp minutes. Okay? Alright. So now, where did I get those numbers? This, like I said, might be a little difficult to do, so I'm going to come over here. Come behind the camera, maybe so we can see this. Alright. If you see right here along the right-hand side, over here this says density. Okay? Down along the bottom here this says log relative exposure. If you look here, you can see D2, D3, 4, all the way towards the left where it says D8 plus RCF. Okay? No problem there. So, we've got a 1.5 density on D8. Let's get this up here where you can see it. We need some numbers. There we go. 1.5 density on D8, and we're going to go over to the log relative exposure where we match up to the D8 film. Okay? There you see it. We're going to drag that straight down, and it's right there on that 2.0 number. Whoops, raise that up so you can see it. Right there on that 2.0 number. So then, write down 2.0. You can see it up there. Come to the next one, 3.0 on D4. So come back here where you can see this. Come up 3.0. Come over to D4. Okay, we drag that straight down. That's going to put us at about a 2.85. So you can see that up there. Got our inverse log. We've got 7.07. That tells us 99.1 milliamp minutes. Okay? And then just bringing all that back, you can see we went from a D8 to a D4. So D8 went to the right. We've got D4. Good with all that? Give you a minute to let that soak in. Alright, so once you've got all that soaked in, you bring that back over here to say, if we go from the left side to the right side, you going from a slow film, or sorry, going from a fast film to a slow film, so your exposure needs to get longer. That's where multiplication comes in. Slow film to fast film, exposure is going to get shorter, so we would divide. Always, always, always going to start with this exposure time. Okay? So we had 14 milliamp minutes. We had a 7.07 inverse log. So 14 times 7.07 gave us 99.1. Okay? Good with all that? Again, give you just a second to let that soak in. Alright, I'm going to put another one up. I'm going to do another video here shortly of how to do another exposure. Alright?